Knicks fans, what's good? Welcome to Knicks and Snoozes. Knicks and Bruises. It's a late night. Hopefully, we don't, put y'all to sleep. Keep y'all up a little bit. Shout out to the overnight crew. What's good, Sim?
Chilling, man. Chilling. Just walking in the room from basketball practice.
I feel you. I appreciate you jumping on this late, this early in the morning.
No
I,
doubt.
I won't keep you too long. Let me start with some audio and we'll go from there.
All right.
Shout out to the chat too. Yo, Black is time.
Well, Malik, I really think they're just one player away. And here's why I think they're one player away, a player that can come in and doesn't have to be a superstar player either. A player who can create some offense off the dribble, to take some of the pressure off Jalen Brunson having to do that as well, or Julius Randle having to do it, or RJ Barrett. Just another player. And I'll give you an example. You mentioned my time in Detroit. In 2004, we were in a very similar position that the Knicks are in right now. We were in the middle of the pack. We were like fourth or fifth in the
Fourth or fifth in the East. They went on. They got Rasheed Wallace. You know what I mean? They go on to win the NBA championship. Shout out to Eru as well. I tried to jump on his show earlier. He broke this thing down a little bit as well. So if y'all didn't hear Eru on Die Hard Knicks, go check that out as well. Um, I've been saying this for some time now. Like we can potentially go the Detroit Piston route. It's not a you don't have very many references for teams that have accomplished that without
Right.
having that true superstar top 10 to 15 player
Right.
in the league. But you do have them as an example. Um Obviously there's some bias there, just
Mhm.
leaving the Knicks organization. Um but the reference point he's been a part of as well. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't consider that reference bias. You know what I mean? It's more of a testament that it can be done. Um,
Right.
what are your what are your thoughts on what he said, and how believable, how true do you consider it to be?
I mean, I believe it. I believe it. When you look at the Nuggets, and I know they got Jokic, but they also have a collection of players. You know what I'm saying? Like a really good collection of players. You know what I mean? It just so happens that they also have an MVP caliber player there, right? But they got a good collection of players. I think it can be done. I think you can put together a deep team that has the pieces that you're looking for, right? For example, last night when the Knicks lost to the Celtics, they were missing someone who could go toe to toe with Jason Tatum. Does that guy have to be a superstar, or can it be somebody who can score one on one? You know what I'm saying? Like say, let's say for example, because what he talked about, a guy that can go off the dribble and do some things. I'm thinking of a guy like a DeMar DeRozan,
Hmm.
right? Who um, can pull up in the mid range, bop bop, pull up in the mid range, knock it down. You know what I'm saying? Who can go off the dribble, who can create a little bit. He can, in smaller lineups, play some power forward. Your regular lineups play the three spot. He can do some of those things, and he gives you another guy that goes off the dribble, another guy between him and Brunson and Randall that can create his own shot. You know what I mean? And if you were to find a way to add a guy like DeMar DeRozan to this lineup without moving a RJ Barrett or Randall, you know what I'm saying? Now, I mean, that's a strong first five, like a really strong first five, and you have a lot of pieces that you can use in situations. You know what I'm saying? If you need someone that can really knock it down in the mid range, post up at the mid post, knock it down in the mid range, you might go to DeMar DeRozan. You need someone that's got a power swing inside, you go to Julius Randle. You need that point guard to do, a couple things off the dribble, you got Jalen Brunson. You need a guy that's knocking down the corner threes, you got RJ. Like, so what the Celtics have the Celtics have basically done the same thing by adding KP. just at a really high level by adding KP and Drew Holiday, but at a really high level, with their first unit, but now the second unit lacks a lot. You know what I mean? But they got a lot of firepower up top. But if you can add those pieces, you look at things that you might be missing, and if you can add someone who can do those things, I think you can put together a deep enough roster that can compete for a title.
Yeah, you touched on I mean a lot of things I was going to mention. One of the main focus I think or one of the main points of what he said, and you just mentioned it, is not only does he think they can do it, they're a piece away, but he said it didn't have to be a superstar. It didn't have to be us moving on from a Randall or RJ to make it happen. So yeah, great point. And shout out Eru again, because DeMar DeRozan was one of the guys he highlighted that kind of fits that bill. He actually brought up a trade with DeRozan and the center. Who's the center there? Vucevic.
Vucevic, yeah.
DeMar DeRozan, Vucevic. He did include Mitchell Robinson in that trade. I didn't like that part. That's one of the reasons I wish I could have jumped on with him. But Mitchell Robinson, quickly Grimes, and Fournier. And it worked on the trade machine. I felt like there was some other ways we could have maneuvered it. I'm not gonna pull the whole trade machine up, but I think it would be essential to keep Mitchell Robinson. I would not be opposed to actually getting Vucevic if we could, but moving on from Hartenstein and getting Vucevic and keeping Mitchell Robinson, to me, that would be a lot more ideal. One of the things he didn't include in his trade, because I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to bring it up, but we do have that trade exception, $6 million, so that could offset some type of salary here or there to make it work. I wouldn't want to include quickly, but I guess if we're getting DeRozan and Vucevic, and quickly has to be that sweetener piece. Obviously, they be taking Fournier and Hartenstein. I think I would do that. I don't know if I would want to give up quickly and Mitchell Robinson. But what's your thoughts on Evil's proposed trade? And me saying I don't know if I would want to give up Mitchell Robinson. I think he's just too important to what we do as a team.
Mm-hmm.
And him and quickly now we're affecting both units.
Right.
You know what I mean? A lot.
Right.
So but yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm not trying to give up Mitch either. You know what I'm saying? I agree. I think he's way too important to what the Knicks do defensively and rebounding the basketball and protecting the rim. I think he's too important to those things. So I wouldn't want to give up Mitch. You know what I mean, I'd be trying to nickel and dime him then and say, all right, if it was DeMar DeRozan, I'd be, talking like maybe Isaiah Hartenstein, Evan Fournier. You know what I'm saying? I'd be trying draft picks maybe or something like that. I'd be trying to go that route, especially if Zach LaVine, there's talks that the Bulls have been listening to teams asking about Zach LaVine, and Zach LaVine has been okay with them listening. You know what I'm saying? So he may be willing for a trade. So if Zach LaVine is traded, they might be breaking down. You know what I'm saying? Now there's a fire sale. Now you might be able to get a DeMar DeRozan. I mean, maybe, if you get Zach LaVine, you're giving up a guy like RJ or something like that, or Randall, and you're probably in the same spot then. You know what I mean? So in the same spot. But if you if you're able to pull off DeMar DeRozan to add to those guys, you know what I'm saying? You might be, and as long as RJ shooting the ball from three the way he is, Brunson is shooting the ball from three, Randall is shooting the ball from three, you might have enough to spread the floor. You know what I'm saying? So you're not as concerned about whether or not he's knocking down a three like that or shoot.
And he's not afraid to shoot the three. So it's
Right.
not like he's an unwilling 3-point shooter. He's just not gonna increase his volume to 8. You know what I mean? He's not gonna increase his volume to. I would say 4 might be his max. You know what I mean? That you could probably get him to shoot, and that's probably stretching it. But you know what I mean? 3.8, 3.7. So, but yeah, I agree 100%. I've been calling for a DeRozan. I mean, I wanted us to sign him before the Bulls did
Yeah.
that free agency. So I think it would work. I'm not opposed to Levine, but at this point, especially with RJ's 10-game ascension, which we'll get into. Well, he hasn't even played 10 games, but you know what I mean. With 10 games in, um, I wouldn't want to move. I would want to do the same thing, basically, not move RJ, not move Randall, not move Brunson, not move Mitch. If we can get Levine with the second unit and Grimes, whatever it takes that way, draft picks, then I'm with it. But if we're not adding him to our core, then
Right.
no.
Then no. Right. That's how I feel.
Apollo Williams asked if we heard the Scott Perry take. Yeah, I just played it in the beginning. That's kind of what we're discussing. Who fits that bill. You know what I mean? I think DeRozan's probably the best fit. I'm not really concerned with his 3-point shooting. Anybody else that you think fits that bill? I mean, it's been a lot of things going on. Zion just voiced some frustration,
Hmm.
and he's trying to fit in and take a back seat. So I don't know if he's supposed to be the number 2 now, like definitive, but he's trying to fill that role. So there's been some rumblings there about his unhappiness and whether he really wants to be there.
Right. Right.
I guess we could save that for down the road in another show, but it's out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know,
There's been some pods about it already.
yeah. You know what I mean? Honestly, with what Scott Perry is saying and from some of the things that I see in that aspect, if you were gonna fill a hole in that starting lineup where Grimes is, no disrespect to Grimes or nothing like that, but um DeMar DeRozan seems to add what they need. Something that they need. But then giving up Grimes, you're giving up something that you need as well, right? Because he defends the best player that's out there on the floor. He also, is that 3D guy. So he spreads the floor. He helps to spread the floor. A guy like DeMar DeRozan's not really going to spread the floor as much. And is he going to be out there defending at 34 years old? Do you want him out there defending the other team's best guy every night?
I mean, when did that uh all right, I was gonna say, when did that stop being his job? I guess Patrick Williams kind of took that role in Chicago,
Hmm.
but I
And I'm
think
not saying he can't
yeah,
do it, but
what I like about him, especially if he's starting and replacing Grimes, is that he does have the ability to guard up, and he has that size that we're missing,
yeah,
or you know what I mean, or
exactly.
all over the court. So even if he had to guard a 4, you know what I mean, I wouldn't be mad, like, oh, it's a disadvantage. You know what I
Right,
mean? So but I do get you. At his age, at this stage, do you want that to be his definitive role? But I think part of what Scott Perry talked about is sacrifice.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And maybe that does have to be your role. You have to be a 3 and 2, a 3 and 2 guy. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like, I
right,
ain't gonna
right,
say 3 and D, but you know what I mean. Maybe you got to be a definitive lockdown guy, and then we're gonna utilize your offensive skills for what they are.
right, right.
I mean,
Yeah,
you're not gonna get the same shot attempts. You know what I mean? Maybe it's down to 12,
but
15.
right. But see,
You-
the
you-
thing with him is he's at a point in his career where he may not need to. It may benefit him that he doesn't have to carry such a big load scoring wise, and he can just get his when it's necessary. You keep him warm throughout the game. He's getting touches, keep him warm, but in that fourth quarter, when you need that mid range shooter, he's there. You know what I'm saying? When you need that guy that can create a shot, because Randall, can't get his, he's there. You know what I mean? Makes
um,
$28.6 million this season, and it's his last season in Chicago.
it's crazy. You don't got to sell me on it because I've been on the DeRozan train. Um, you know what I mean. So I'm with it. I think it's another one that is highly likely. I mean, or highly possible, I should say. Apollo Williams, he says, what do you think of Buddy Hield? Me personally, I think he would help just because he's solidified 3-point sniper. Um, but we don't have a role for him because he don't
Right.
have a defensive attribute.
Yeah, and what's he
And
4?
yeah, so it's like
Like
we got enough of those.
yeah, we got those guys.
Like it would have to be like a 2-for-1 for, and it have to be rotational guys, and so I think it's messing up too much. It's risking too much.
Yeah, we got those guys, man. It's got to be. I think it's that missing piece is that DeMar DeRozan ain't 6'7", he's 6'6", but I think he plays the style of ball we're missing. I feel like.
Yeah, because honestly, if we did Fournier and the trade exception and draft picks, it'll work if that's what we wanted to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? And but then we're not losing a rotational player. But I mean, he could fit literally backup 4. You know what I mean?
He can
He
play some
could. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like if we didn't lose a rotation player, backup 4. So I think we'll figure it out. Um, what are your thoughts of him including Vucevic? And I know you said you don't want to include Mitch. So if we could get him, and we had to do Hartenstein, and what we might have to do draft capital, whatever. But what do you think of adding
and we
a
bring
legit a legit stretch big, huh?
back Vucevic.
Yeah. Because the funny thing about Vooch, he can pass the ball too.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like
And you bring in Vucevic off the bench.
I would say initially because I wouldn't want to mess with what Mitch does. You know what I mean? What Mitch does for this team.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like now, if he gets in a slump, you know what I mean, but et cetera, we could switch it up. But I wouldn't. Yeah, I would put him off the bench. But I think he almost is you know what I mean, like a better Hartenstein. I like Hartenstein a lot too. You know what I mean, and I feel like Hartenstein can and will still get better.
Mm-hmm.
But just that 3-point threat from the big position. I mean, even the times closing the game, I think it's gonna change. It would change things with Vooch closing the game or offense defense substitutions, whatever. Like you know what I mean. However we utilize him, when he could play with the starters,
Yeah.
it's gonna change that whole dynamic of
Right.
what we're able to do. So I do like the idea of bringing him in. But again, I gotta emphasize, Eru, I can't give up Mitch in that deal. He's too valuable to this team.
Yeah, I think he is. My thing was, would Vucevic even want to come off the bench though?
You want to win, or you want to, or you know what I mean?
Nah, I feel you, but I dig exactly. I dig it, and I would, as a fan, I'm like, I don't care if he comes off the bench.
Now,
Yeah.
I mean, I get the frustration, but even let's say, even saying there's merit to him, you know what I mean? Oh, I want to start. Um, you gotta acknowledge not wanting to mess up chemistry. Um, so as long as you're saying the opportunity will be there for you to start gradually or over time, or if
Right.
you prove this lineup is better than that, you know what I mean?
I mean, like Apollo was saying, he's never really been part of a consistent winner anyway. He's 33 years old. At some point, you're gonna find yourself playing behind a younger, better player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He just turned 33, but you know, I mean, I wouldn't mind. He makes about 18 to 20 million a year.
Chav, my guy. Come on. I'll say this just to not say
I just
there's
don't
no
think he's
merit.
good enough
I
to.
would I wouldn't do it off the rip. He would have to earn it. And I would say it's more likely, knowing like how Boston showed that Hacker Mitch situation. So I would think it was more likely to close with him than to start with him.
Mhm.
So that would be my argument. We don't gotta mess up the chemistry. Let him figure his way into the team, the system, da 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 da, da, and he could close games, give us a free throw threat, a 3-point threat, and open that driving lane for
Yeah.
some guys.
Nah, I mean,
Um,
he could definitely do that because he shoots 7 threes a game, 7, 8 threes a game. And probably shooting like mid 30s. But I wouldn't mess up the chemistry either. You know what I mean? I wouldn't mess up the chemistry if you got him without moving Mitch. I wouldn't mess up the chemistry. You know,
um,
you gotta do sometimes.
how many draft picks would you be okay with if um if we were getting both of those players, and if there's a casualty of the starting unit, it's only Grimes.
Oof, man, I don't know. So if you're getting DeMar DeRozan and Vucevic, how much money is that? That's about 58 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 48. Well,
28 and
18.
18.
What's that? 46 million. So you're gonna have to give up
Fournier's 18,
48.
right?
It's 18 or 19. So now you got to find another 28 million that you got in order to,
You got the 6 million cap trade exception.
okay,
So that's 24, right?
right? And then Grimes make like what, two?
2. That's 26. I think Hartenstein makes 10, right? At least 10.
That's so 20. So that's about 38. Still need another 10 somewhere.
Nah, if that's 38, you need 8. And there's a window. I think there's almost gonna be like a 5 million gap, where we don't, you know what I mean, we can have space in what we take back. Because
Mhm.
when he did the trade exception earlier, it was close to like a $6 million difference,
Okay.
and that was with him not including the trade exception. So, um, how where we at 8? It might have to be quickly.
Hey,
Unless you know what I mean. Unless it was like Deuce and another. You know what I mean.
yeah, I'd rather do Deuce and somebody.
I would. I mean, I would too.
But
But
Chicago
let's. But
fight.
let's.
Nah, we
Let,
we
let's
need
let,
something to start with.
let's say the draft capital is the incentive.
Right,
That's what they want. So if
right.
they wanted 3 for those 2 guys, would you do it? Or let me start with 4 because I think I would do 3
I mean,
just
I think
because.
I would do 3, man. 4, I don't know. Depends on how far
And
down
and,
the line they are.
I'm gonna say 4. Let's say 2 protected, 2 un,
Yeah, I have
2
to
and
see
2.
I'd have to see how far down the line they are. But you talk about putting together a deep squad, though. I tell
Yeah.
you, that's a deep squad.
And that would be a move.
Because now you legitimately have starters on the bench quickly
Yep.
can start in this league. Vucevic would be a starter, you know what I'm saying, in his league. You know what I mean? Like you would legitimately, Josh Hart can start. Dante DiVincenzo can start. You would legitimately have, and then you'd be playing RJ, who is a starter in this league. So like you would have a second unit that where all 5 guys could legitimately be starters.
And if one guy went out at any given position, there's a guy that could step in and fill it.
Yeah, that'd be
With,
crazy.
with, you know what I mean? So
Crazy. That'd be real crazy. That's a deep lineup.
that's the all out type of move that
That's
I would prefer, that isn't as risky as going after, you know what I mean, the home run.
right.
You know what I mean? Like so I shout out to Ebru because we was on the same page except I'm like, we can't do Mitch. You know what I mean? Like we can't really touch that starting unit other than Grimes, no disrespect. And that's me acknowledging we're gonna have to make up for what Grimes gives us. And that's not even on the offensive end. That's just guarding the best guy on the other team night in, night out. You know what I mean? So um yeah. That's the only other guys, just honorable mentions. We don't gotta get into them. I'm still high on Jeremy Grant. Um, I guess he's not really the creator, if you will, that he was referencing,
Right.
but I think he's a guy that would just fit in perfectly in this system and give us the height and length that we're missing. Good 3-point shooter. I think the only attribute he isn't is like a creator,
Right.
or ball handler. Um, but yeah, I would definitely do that. Miles Turner, he's another guy I keep mentioning. Um, Great contract. Um, I really wish that would have been the target when we moved Obi. Like,
Mm.
I don't see why we didn't. Like, Obi and Fournier, Miles Turner, what's good? You know what I mean? Like, no picks. We don't get 2 seconds. You don't get. Well, matter of fact, you get the 2 seconds. You know what I mean? Like, what? But Miles Turner, I think he fits perfect. If we're not touching our starting unit, I don't know. I'm drawing a blank. I think that's it for that. Any guys anybody you want to put an honorable mention?
Not really.
All right, we're gonna breeze through this. Um, grades for these 10 games. Let's grade just the record. I'm gonna go through them quick. What would be your grade on the record right now? 5-5. You could give circumstances, or you could just say, this is the grade because we not winning. We not above 500.
I mean,
But
for me, it's a C. You know, and that's based on the games that they had the opportunity to win, and it really came down to them faltering down the stretch. You know what I'm saying? I see 2 games that the Knicks, I believe, could have and should have won. You know what I mean? Well, right now, instead of being 5-5, they'd be 7-3. You know what I mean? So it's a C for me so far. C for me. Um, Randall, for the most part, hasn't played up to par. RJ has, Mitch has. Brunson's been off and on. Offensively, there's a lot of you know they hit dry spots in the offense. You know what I mean? We've seen some good things. We've seen some really bad things. I think as far as their shooting percentages. The constant, I think, has been defense. For the most part, they've played decent defense and they play hard. But I think it's a C, which for me means there's a lot of room for improvement. And I think this team has the ability to improve a lot.
That's fair. Um, I agree with C. That's probably the grade I would give as well. I'm basing it off of my expectation, and I ain't gonna lie. This is about where I thought we could be. With things not going terribly well, and with things not going, just like perfect for us. So I felt like there was a risk of things going bad and it being worse than this after 10. And I thought if everything was clicking, to your point, I thought we could have been about 7-3. Just looking at the schedule before we even played the game. So just based off my expectation, they right around where I thought we would be after 10. I actually think I said 10-10 after 20. Just because we was having a tough schedule, right? Like right off the bat. Um, who would you give? I think this is gonna be unanimous too. Who would you give your highest grade to? Um, individual player. If you want to say coach, you could do that as well. But I think this is
My highest grade would probably go to RJ.
absolutely.
Yeah, go
Um,
to RJ.
I actually got a tie. What's your grade for RJ?
I mean, I'd go. I think I have to go A.
Straight A.
I
Okay.
have to give him an A. The only thing I would say is maybe an A minus because he missed a couple of games, but hopefully those are things beyond his control. So I'm gonna just stick with an A
And
so
the
far.
A minus is lower
Yeah.
than an A. All right.
Mhm.
I'm actually going A for RJ. Um, and it's funny you mentioned the minus for missing games. I'm actually going from minus to A because of him missing games. Just show how much
That's
we
true.
we need we need him, and how
Right.
important he's been
Right.
this year.
That's true.
Um, and then the A minus is actually for Mitch, and the only reason I'm even putting a minus on there is because I still want more from him offensively. Another thing I want to shout out Ebro about. He mentioned that play that I think I spoke to you about, where he gave up. You know what I mean? He was in position to just do a hook shot. You know what I mean? Any type of shot under the rim, and he tried to give it back to RJ. I think it ended up being a shot clock violation. Um, they was passing the like back and forth to each other. Um, but yeah, just we need a little bit more
Yeah.
offensively from you. Um, even if it's just awareness, you know what I mean? Because at that point, you not taking any type of shot costed us a turnover.
Right.
And then you have been on record subtly complaining, you know what I mean, about wanting these opportunities. So now they are rising.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
we've even fed him a couple times. He's been sealing, and he's got like 2 post-ups this year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like so it's coming, but you gotta be ready for the opportunity as well. So that's the only reason I'm throwing the minus on Mitch. Um, I'm trying to come up with instead of going through every player. I'm just trying to breeze through some of these. Um, best grade for person off the bench,
IQ.
and what grade you giving IQ?
I mean, I'm probably with IQ. probably at a B. But I think I think his shot selection has been a lot better this year. He's I thought think I think he's kept us in a couple of games. You know what I'm saying, when we really could have been out of it. He's been under control for the most part. Plays good defense. I think he's early right now, putting himself in the running for still putting himself in the running for six man of the year.
Mm. I'm actually giving him a B as well, but he's not my answer to the question. Um, and the only reason I'm giving him a B and not something higher is because my expectation for IQ is higher. You know what I mean? Like I was one of those pay him, should have paid him, one of those guys. And my belief in him is through the roof. Like he's the one guy that I still feel like out of our young guys has the highest star potential.
Mhm.
Um, but my I'm going B plus to Hartenstein because I feel like he's been solid all year. Um, seems like this the most comfortable he's been on the team, showing new aspects of his game, more solid in different aspects of his game, attacking the rim, passing the ball. Like he's just really feeling comfortable, and I feel like maybe he has more to show. You know what I mean? More growing to do. But present surprise early right out the gate. Maybe that injury he suffered. He started the season with last year. Really, you know what I mean? Really meant something,
Yeah.
and that's why it took so long for him to find his way. Um, all right, coaching great, great on tips.
Uh, Probably C. I'm probably at a C. You know what I mean? And I know it's early in the season, but I question like against Boston last night on the back to back. He only played eight guys. You know what I mean? And you got a guy, Evan Fournier, who's got experience. He can shoot the ball. The Knicks scored 98 points last night,
As a Celtic killer.
and he's got a history of killing the Celtics, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm at a C right now with Tibbs.
Mm.
You know,
I'll probably still go B just because my expectation.
mhm.
Um, I don't know. I feel like Tibbs has added. I don't know. Maybe I'm a Tibbs enthusiast, but I feel like he's added some wrinkles to the offense this year.
I feel like there's a couple of wrinkles, but
Yeah.
I also feel like he's not adding any wrinkles defensively.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? Like last night against the Celtics, they come out, for a few possessions, they go full court press just to take the Knicks out of a little bit of rhythm. You know what I'm saying? Switch it up, make them have to think. And we don't do anything like that. It's just straight up. We're playing this half court man to man defense. We'll trap the ball handler or, throw a double towards someone who's, shooting the ball, hot. And we play good defense. We have a good defensive team. That's one of the reasons why I think we can do more. I mean, other teams in the league, some of your top defensive teams, they're switching it. For one possession, I think the Celtics went like 2-1-2 zone. You know what I'm saying? And we see it all the time. It just switches up. It makes the players have to change their mentality. They got to figure out something else to do. And just that switch alone can break the momentum of your offense.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
We've seen it time after time.
yeah, I just don't think we do enough of that stuff.
Um, last one. Should I go Brunson? Should I go Randall? I'm gonna go Randall. What's your grade for Randall? I'll do my grade for
Mm.
Brunson. Or do you want to do Brunson and I'll do Randall? Who you want to do? You want grade Randall or grade Brunson?
I'm at like a C minus with Randall right
C
now.
minus. All right.
I need to see him. It was down like a D, but he started playing better. Right. He started playing better. And what I need to see him consistently. I need to see him get really consistent. Too important to the team.
I'm not gonna give no explanation. I'm gonna just say C plus. I like what you said though, where it was before compared to where it was. I said C plus. I'm gonna go B with Brunson,
Okay.
and honestly, he went up. You know what I mean? Like he might have been trending at B minus, but he had that stellar
That
40
45.
45, you know what I mean? That 45, even though it was a loss, like, you know what I
Right.
mean? It was like, all right, it feel like he back. And then he's had some steady moments since then. And less, you know what I mean, less crucial turnovers since then.
Yeah.
Like it was a bunch of things going on with Brunson early that where if Randall wasn't going through what he was going through, you know what I mean? It would have been a lot of question marks thrown that way from Nick's Twitter and Nick's chats. You know what I mean? But I saw it. I noticed it. But he seemed like he back as well. But I give him a what I said, B plus.
Yeah.
Oh no, I think I said B.
That's B.
Yeah, solid B. That's it, man. Anything you want to add? Anything you want to
Nah,
promote?
man. I don't know how I'm gonna do the game preview tomorrow. I'm gonna try to find a way to do it. I'm at this conference. I'm gonna see if I can get away, maybe during lunch or something like that. Do it for 30 minutes. But yeah, I don't know. I gotta figure it out.
But late night tomorrow night too. You gotta drive back.
Yeah, I gotta drive back, so it'll be late night tomorrow night too.
All right, I'll jump on with you. I'm probably only gonna get the second half, depending on what time you get in and what time they broadcast it, the replay. You know what I mean? Maybe I could catch up and get the whole game by then.
Right. I mean, I'll be getting probably, I'll probably finish the third. I'll probably get the third or fourth quarter. Then I'm gonna drive down. I'm gonna get quarters 1 and 2.
No doubt. So we see y'all tomorrow on Nothing But Knicks. Appreciate y'all joining me, Sim. Appreciate you for this early morning. What I call it, Knicks. What I call it, Knicks and snoozes.
Knicks and snoozes.
Knicks and snoozes. Late night, late night, early morning show.
Yeah, I'm about to be snoozing, boy. Had a long day.
No doubt, man. Appreciate you, Sim. Shout out to the chat. Your Blackest Time. Eru, that was a great show earlier, man. I wish I could have jumped on with you. I wish you could have jumped on this one and discussed some of those same topics. But we out of here.
Peace.